lost 300 grand of your own money in one. And how do you recover from that? Do you go into a major fucking depression?
Nope, because all that matters is what happens at the end of the year, Howard. It's not what happens that night.
Do you keep accurate tracking of your winnings? And because if you don't, you could end up really bankrupt.
Well, it's not just that, but for tax purposes and whatnot, you have to report, you have to report your wins and your losses.
So you walk away from the table after losing $335,000, and it's just a day at the job.
Yes.
You don't sit there, you don't go home at night and start, oh shit, I'm an asshole, I'm a fucking moron.
You don't get on one of those streaks where you just lose and lose and lose?
No, definitely not. It's a pretty calculated, decision process that you go through as a professional poker player if you want to be successful.
How many times a week do you need to play in order to keep things going? In other words, after you lose 335, do you take a breather for a week, or do you just go right?
Not if there's a good game the next day. You just go right back.
If there's a good game, you go right back in.
Yeah.
You bring your pile of dough, and then if you lose another 300,000, do you start to question what you're doing?
No, you just keep going.
You keep going.
You keep going. Yeah, listen, it's all about making good decisions, and if you keep making good decisions mathematically, and you keep putting your money in with the best hand, the beautiful thing about poker is the bad player can always win, and sometimes it's just not your night, no matter what you do. I can make the best decisions, get the best cards, and still lose.
Wow.
But in the end, math will prevail, and you will come out ahead.
Were you a good math student?
I was okay at math, yeah.
Yeah. But you say it's math.
Well, I'm saying that when you get all your money in with the best hand, that's the math. But poker for me is more about feel. It's really about reading my opponent.
Do you get nervous when you go all in still? Is there still a high from the game? Because, part of becoming a poker player is that high.
There's a little bit of a rush, but you have to hide that. When you go all in, you either have a hand or you don't. It doesn't matter what you have to maintain composure. You have to be totally composed so your opponent can't read you. When I'm sitting there playing Sam Trickett, he's the guy that took second.
Right.
We're playing for a $8 million difference. Heads up.
Right.
Second place is $10 million. First place is $18 million.
Wow.
We've taken out 46 players, and now here we are mano a mano for it all.
Right.
If he wins, he's sitting here with you.
Right.
Right? And that would hurt.
Yes.
So there's a lot at stake. But you have to control your emotions 100%.
Did you win on an all-in at the end?
Yeah.
And what was your hand versus his?
I had a 5-7 offsuit.
Right.
And are you a poker player? You play? Oh, I love it. Right. When are we playing, Howard?
Never. I'm not an asshole. I'm not playing against you.
So I raised...
I'll play it for $5.
You got it.
Go ahead, yeah.
So I raised the button, and he called.
Right.
And he had queen 6 of diamonds. And it came jack 5-5, so I had 3 5s with 2 diamonds.
Wow.
And he had about 30 million in chips. I had about 30 million. I had him covered. I had about 90 million. Wow. And we got it all in. So if a diamond doesn't come, it's over.
Right.
And it didn't come.
That's the luck part.
Right. If a diamond comes, now we have the same amount of chips. Now we got to battle.
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
So it was,
And you don't get nervous during a hand like that with that much on the line?
No, it's just another day. You just got to get through that hand. I remember, I'll never forget, when all the money went in and the next card was about to come out, and I'm like, please, Jesus, God, no diamond. And then it didn't come. And then there was one more card to come, and I thought, if I dodge this card, it's over. I win the greatest tournament in the history of poker.
Do you think you have a gambling problem?
Not at all.
Could you stop playing poker tomorrow?
I could, but why would I? Would you stop making money tomorrow?
But could you stop if you needed to?
Of course, absolutely.
You don't think you're chasing some sort of high? Because
Not at
it's
all.
Still, really?
It's business.
Do you do something responsible, like take certain amount of money and put it away that you never are going to touch?
It doesn't really work like that, Robin. You just keep growing your bankroll, and you keep putting money in other places, and you just keep playing poker.
Yeah, but what Robin's saying does make sense. In other words, if it is a job, if poker's a job, all of us who have jobs, I've worked my entire life. Whatever I made, I always try to put aside a little something so that when I got older, my kids got older, they would have some money to go to college and things like that. Your lifestyle is sort of nomadic. You're like all in your lifestyle. Like, oh, this is my bankroll and I'm putting it all up. You should put aside some money.
But that's not true, because when I was worth $30,000, sure, that was definitely a possibility.
Okay.
But when I was 25, I won a tournament where I won over $1 million. Once I hit $1 million net worth at 25,
right.
Now I'm almost never going broke, because now I have enough of a bankroll to take hits and take losses. And so
that
I never...
18...
Go ahead.
That $18 million is now going to make you invincible.
Well, I don't know about invincible, but, there's games where people are losing tons of money all over the place. So,
who's the best poker player in the world? Are you it?
I've ran good very this summer.
Right.
But, I can't say I'm the best poker player in the world, because I don't even know how to play all the different games.
What's your lifestyle like? I mean, are you a 9-to-5 kind of guy? Is there anything you can study? Is there anything, I mean, do you have to, or do you keep late hours, or you live in the Vegas lifestyle?
Yeah, do they play these games always at night?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on the game, where you are, and, you never know. The thing about poker is it's not set.
Right.
At any time, the big fish can show up and say, hey, I want to play.
And you get a call.
Yeah, when the big fish shows up, you go play.
Who are the big fish? Businessmen and stuff?
Businessmen, yeah, wealthy guys that don't care.
Oh,
And
so you're just taking their money?
And so they go, hey, we want to play against the best in the world.
Not necessarily, but they want to play.
But that's like me saying, I want to play John McEnroe in tennis. I'm going to lose.
Right.
I mean, why would I want to play?
That's not true, because tennis is 100% skill.
Right.
Poker is skill with luck.
Right.
So even the guy that's not as good as the professional can come out ahead 4 out of 10 times.
When you go and play a fish, do you ever lose?
Of course, absolutely. When I lost $375,000, there were multiple fish in the game.
Did you tell your parents you lost $375,000 that night?
My dad would have a heart attack.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're talking a big number.
He's an old school Persian dude. And
Could you play in a game that was low stakes, like $10?
Just for the fun of it.
Yeah, or would that just bore the piss out of you?
It's boring, but I'm there for the camaraderie. If I'm there with my dad and my brother and we're just shooting the shit, having a beer, playing in Vegas, I can do it. No problem.
Then you love the game. In other words, you can play for $10 and just like when I gamble, I could play at a table, a $5 table. It doesn't matter to me because I like the idea of sitting around, like you say, the camaraderie. I like all that.
Right.
So it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I don't need to play for high stakes. You need to play for high stakes.
I do, Howard. I do.
Yeah.
In order for me to get a thrill and play it on my top level, it has to be high.
Right.
If I'm playing for $10, I'm going to be just, dicking around, having fun.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
this is my career. This is what I do.
No,
for a
I
living.
understand.
Yeah, we started talking lifestyle, and we never really got into it. So
What is your life? How much pussy are you getting? This is what we're asking. That's what Robin wants to know.
I do all right, Howard. I've lived in Vegas for many years.
Right.
And, the last couple of years I've cleaned up my act. I used to party really hard. My philosophy was, I'm only going to be in my 20s once.
Right.
And so let me just get it out of my system. I live in Vegas.
Right.
All my friends own the clubs, and, I get to go out and do whatever I want, whenever I want. And,
do women have the attitude that, like, wow, a poker player's a bad boy, and, like, I got to go bang some bad boy? Do they sit and watch you and then get turned on? Is that the place where you meet the most chicks?
The thing about poker is that women are not necessarily fans of poker players, but they have friends who are guys who love poker. And so when you go out, it's not a girl that ever recognizes you. It's always their guy friends or some group of guys like, hey, do you know who that is?
Right.
And then there's an overlay, kind of flows in.
As soon as, hey, do you know who that is happens, you're in. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do guys know you? I mean, like, because they're real poker fans, and are you on
do they
TV
see
a
you
lot?
on TV?
Yeah, well, poker's, it's televised.
You've
all
been
the time.
televised.
Yeah.
Was this $18 million game televised?
It was on ESPN, yeah.
Yeah. And yet you say the bulk of your money comes from games that aren't televised. It's like kind of like a private
When
game.
the fish are
when
there.
the fish are there.
We love the fish, Robin.
Yeah, that's right. Do you ever get worried? Like, have you ever been in a game where, like, there's mafia types where they go, hey, fuck you, give me my money back, asshole?
There was one incident where I thought something shady was going on, and I thought it was mafio-ish.
Yeah.
And, I never said a word. I just never went back.
What was going on, did you think? Did you think there was cheating involved?
I thought there was a deck brought in that was whatever. But, in 10 years, that was the only time I've ever suspected anything. And I just suspected it. I have no proof whatsoever.
Yeah, how do you know a game's legit?
They are legit. I mean,
how do you know?
Especially me, because I used to do magic, and so I know what to look for.
You know what a marked deck looks like.
I know what... I know all that kind of stuff, and so I keep my eye out pretty good.
Yeah.
But, in a casino, it's almost impossible.
But poker does attract the seedy element, and when you go do these private games, you could be in some kind of weird shit.
You could be, but honestly, I'm quite certain that it's all legit and on the fly.
And I guess once you get to your level, it's like, you're a pro guy, and they're not going to fuck with you.
Now, when you're playing a game, are you one of those guys who, you wear dark glasses or, you wear
have an
a hat
outfit?
over? Yeah.
She wear a
what is
magician's
the
hat.
deal?
She dressed like a dirty wizard.
No, Robin, there's a lot of guys that wear sunglasses and hats, and I just kind of feel like that's a show of fear. They're just trying to hide. They don't want to give off their tells.
It's a psychological vibe. Like, you got to go in there like, hey, I'm not putting on anything fucking
I'm a
special.
gunslinger.
I don't wear any sunglasses. I just show up.
But the guys who wear sunglasses, are they harder to read?
On some level, yeah.
Yeah.
But they show that they're hiding a little bit. So.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, it's an interesting life. So, getting back to your social life.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
So, in your 20s, you went wild. Did you do 2 chicks at one time?
Yes.
Yeah. And when is it true that, like, when women get to Vegas, they get crazy? Like, even married women get nuts.
It's unbelievable, Howard. I mean, when a girl lives in Ohio or wherever she lives, she could be whoever she is in her life. The second she steps foot away from her life and she gets to Las Vegas with her girlfriends, she completely forgets about her life back home and becomes an entirely different creature.
Wow.
You know, us men get such a bad rep for going around and screwing on our girls all the time. But I'm telling you, I swear to you, in 8 years of going out in Las Vegas and partying, I never once met a girl who started off saying, I have a boyfriend, fiance, or husband, who didn't break down by the end of the night. Not one time. Not one time. I mean, it's really unbelievable.
They all cheat on their husbands.
They all cheat.
Would you say you fucked a lot of married women?
Not so proudly, but yes. Not a lot, but, you know, if I haven't met the guy, you know.
It's not really
We've all done it. We're not proud of it.
I'm not proud of it, but, you know, if I've shaken the guy's hand, I would never even consider it.
Hey, Gary said he was following you on Twitter. You're friends with that Olympic dude, the swimmer guy. What's his name?
Lochte?
No,
or, Phelps.
Phelps, right?
Yeah.
That's your bud?
Yeah.
You hang around with a lot of famous people?
You know, some.
Phelps, you party with him?
You know, Phelps and I have gotten, you know, I went to the Olympics. We went on a trip afterwards. We have some mutual friends.
Is he a poker player?
He's a great swimmer.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic swimmer, I know that.
But he's not a poker player.
And not a good poker player.
Well, maybe he's not.
I wish he played poker.
If he did, in other words, he wouldn't say it because he doesn't want to fuck up his reputation.
I don't have a clue.
You party
I know
with him?
he swims.
Did you party with him?
I've gone out with him, yeah.
You guys smoke a little weed?
Definitely not, Howard.
Do you smoke weed?
I have from time to time, yeah. Not a lot.
So you got a girlfriend now?
There's a girl.
You settled down?
I grew up, you know. I met a nice girl, and we'll see how it goes. But she's totally cool. She said, you're going on Howard. Just be a pervert and be you.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's good.
Oh, that's good advice.
Be you, be a pervert.